What's up, guys? Chris Irvin, the ketologist, coming at you from Austin, Texas again. This video is about the 5 reasons why you may be stuck at a weight loss plateau on the ketogenic diet. So this is one of the most common questions that I get coming in through Instagram is people saying, hey, I've been following the ketogenic diet for 2 months, maybe 3 months, 4 months, something like that, and I'm stuck at a weight loss plateau. I lost a ton of weight when I first started, but now the scale is just not moving. What's going on? So this video is going to talk about 5 of the most common reasons why most people are stuck at a weight loss plateau, and we'll kind of break down each one. But before we dive into that, I think the most important thing to recognize is the difference between actually being stuck at a weight loss plateau and your weight loss just not moving as fast as it was when you first started the ketogenic diet. So we know that when you first start keto, your weight loss is going to be very rapid. And the reason why this is because as your insulin levels come down, your body starts excreting a lot more water. So we lose a ton of water weight. And it's not uncommon for people to lose between like 2 and 11 pounds in the first week. 11 pounds is the most that I've seen personally from a family member in the first week of keto. Now, obviously, some of that weight being lost is fat, but a lot of that is water loss and glycogen loss. So not that glycogen is a huge contributor to this weight loss, but it is some. So glycogen is the stored carbohydrates that are found in our body. And when we start keto, we burn through those carbohydrate stores, and that's going to lead to a little bit of weight loss as well. But in general, most of the weight loss during this time is coming from water and a little bit of fat loss. Now, as you continue following keto, your water loss starts to balance out a little bit more. You're not going to lose as much water weight on a continual basis like you do at the beginning. So this causes a lot of people to think that they've hit a weight loss plateau. Before I was losing 2, 3, 4 pounds a week. Now I'm only losing like 1 or 2 pounds, or maybe I've gone a week and I've haven't progressed, and they think that they're stuck at a weight loss plateau. That's not necessarily the case. So I think it's important to realize what a weight loss plateau really is. And in my mind, that means that you are stuck at your weight and you have not progressed for at least 3 weeks. So, if it's just been a week since you've really lost weight, I don't think that's time to panic yet. If it's been 2 weeks, you're kind of getting close to that range, but 3 weeks, it might be time to do something. So let's dive into 5 of the biggest reasons why most people are stuck at weight loss plateaus. I think the easiest one and probably the most important one is what I like to call the carb creep. So the carb creep is kind of like it sounds. It just means that your carbohydrate intake is getting too high. A lot of times when people do keto, if they're not tracking, and I think that it's great for people to kind of learn how to eat intuitively and not constantly be tracking, but what happens is it's very easy for you to end up eating more carbohydrates than you are supposed to. So a lot of times I'll talk to people and say, they'll say, hey, I'm stuck at a weight loss plateau. I'll say, how many carbs are you eating? And they'll say, hey, I'm having less than 30. I'll say, are you tracking? They'll say, no, I'm not. So say, hey, let's track your carbohydrates for a week. Let's eat as normally as you have been, and then come back and we'll see where we're at. And a lot of times people will say, hey, I was actually eating like closer to 50, 60 grams of total carbs. It's like, well, that's probably one of the reasons why you're not seeing progress. And one of the reasons why this carb creep happens is because, one, there's a ton of food products that just contain like a couple carbs here, a couple carbs there, and it's very easy for those to add up. But I think the bigger cause of the carb creep is people who are counting net carbs instead of total carbs, and they're having a lot of keto treats. So, if you're having keto treats that have 2-3 grams of net carbs in them, but there's 12, to 15 grams of total carbs, and you're having 4, 5, 6 of those snacks a day, your total carb intake is creeping up very, very high. And one of the things we know, guys, is the reason why fat loss is so robust on a ketogenic diet is because when our blood glucose goes down, which happens from not eating as many carbohydrates, our insulin levels lower, and this causes our body to burn more fat. So if you're eating too many carbohydrates and enough carbs to stimulate insulin production, then you're going to be hindering your fat loss. So first things first, if you're stuck at a weight loss plateau, you need to consider how many total carbohydrates am I having? Test it, use the app Chronometer. That's the go-to app that I use whenever I'm tracking. Figure out where you're at, and then if you find that your carbohydrates are too high, then you need to scale those back and get them below 30. And for some people, maybe even below 20. Another really big cause, this is cause number 2 for a lot of weight loss plateaus on keto, is food intolerances. So people eating foods that just don't really agree with their body. Their body does not handle them very well. And the most common culprit for this is dairy. And I'm not a big person to say that dairy is the worst thing for people to have. Some people can tolerate dairy just fine. I can actually tolerate dairy very well, but I choose not to eat it because I don't have a great access to raw dairy, which I think is probably the better form to be consuming, and it's the form that actually contains a lot of the beneficial nutrients that people are looking for when they're having dairy. But a lot of the dairy that we're having nowadays is highly processed, it's devoid of a lot of nutrients, and it's pretty pro-inflammatory. So many people, when they start keto, they go way overboard on dairy because cheese is great and you can put it on everything. It goes well on keto dishes. There's even a lot of snacks now that contain a lot of dairy. It's just an easy thing to overeat. And dairy intolerances are one of the most common food intolerances, and especially amongst ketogenic dieters. So if you're somebody who, after you have dairy, if you start noticing things like fatigue and bloating, or if you just notice that you've been having a lot of dairy and your weight loss has been stalled, it's probably because you are intolerant to that food, and you could, provide a lot of value towards your goals if you just remove that. The third big reason why a lot of people are stuck at weight loss, and this isn't necessarily related to your diet, it's more related to your lifestyle. So the answer is lifestyle is the third reason. So the three big things when it comes to lifestyle that I think people are not focusing on improving that are directly hindering fat loss is your sleep, your stress levels, and exercising. So if we're not getting high quality sleep, guys, our bodies just are not functioning the way that they should be. Our energy is going to be low. It's going to really get in the way of the progress that we're trying to see. Same thing with stress. If we're not actively taking steps to manage our stress, then it's going to be very hard for us to lose fat. If we constantly have cortisol levels elevated, it's going to get in the way of our fat burning. And then same thing, if we're not exercising, you're just missing out on an opportunity to stimulate more fat burning. We know that when we exercise, especially on a ketogenic diet, because your body has to rely on stored fat, you are stimulating fat loss. So if you're skipping exercise, then you're missing out on this chance to burn more fat. Number 4, for reasons why a lot of people are stuck at a weight loss plateau on keto, is food quality. And this one is not the fan favorite. This is not the one that people get really excited about. In fact, I've had a lot of people kind of come at me for bringing up this topic. But so I'm going to kind of try to explain it to you guys and really how I mean for us to look at food quality. So food quality, I think, is very important. I believe that there is a difference between a grass-fed, grass-finished steak and a grain-fed steak. I think that it makes a big difference for a lot of things. It makes a big difference for what we're going to see in terms of like our blood lipids on a ketogenic diet. It's going to make a big difference for like our inflammatory levels and things like that. But also it can make a big difference for our overall health and our weight loss. So, and I'm not just talking about grass-fed and grass-finished beef. When I'm speaking about food quality, I'm speaking about the foods that you're actually incorporating in your diet. So a lot of people, when they start keto, they really focus on cutting out the bad foods or cutting out the foods that you're not supposed to have on keto, like processed carbohydrates and all of those things, but they forget to replenish them with the things that you really need. And I know foods like pork rinds and cheese, like I mentioned, and bacon, I know that those things are really, really great tasting foods, and they're really great replacements to a lot of keto foods. Like if you're somebody who you love eating chips, having pork rinds and dip, that's a great way to get around that. It's a great alternative to that. But the thing is that these aren't necessarily health foods. They're not health foods at all. They're foods that don't contain much micronutrients for us. They don't provide a lot of value to our body. That doesn't mean that I'm telling you that you shouldn't eat those foods. I think that those foods can be okay in moderation. But the point is that too many people let these foods become a staple of your diet. If the main food protein source that you're getting in your diet is bacon, you're missing out on a lot of high quality micronutrients, and those are the micronutrients that your body needs to function correctly. So if you're, even outside of those foods, even if you're just having a lot of keto snacks, you're making a lot of keto desserts, again, I think those things are fantastic. I work for Perfect Keto. We have keto bars. I think they're amazing, but they should not become a staple of your diet, because if they become a staple of your diet, you're missing out on the nutrients that you need for your body to thrive, and that includes weight loss. Okay, and then the 5th reason why some people are stuck at a weight loss plateau, and I made this the last one because I think that you should look at the first 4 before you consider this one, because it's very doubtful that this is the reason why you're stuck at a weight loss plateau, but it's what a lot of people think, and the reason is calories. So there's 2 ways that we need to look at calories. The way that I think most people should look at calories when it comes to weight loss plateau is that your calorie intake is probably too low, which is going to come as a surprise to a lot of people. But here's the thing, guys. If you are chronically under consuming carbohydrates, I talk to people all the time who are exercising for 2-3 hours a day but eating like 1,100 calories. You are severely calorie deprived, and if you're doing that for a long period of time, your body's not going to want to burn fat because it knows that it's not getting the fuel that it needs to thrive. So I've worked with a lot of clients, I've coached a lot of people, they've been under eating calories, stuck at a weight loss plateau. We increase their calories and they start losing weight. And this is kind of a big shock to the people who think that calories are the most important thing. Calories matter for weight loss, but they are not the most important thing, and they matter a lot less on a ketogenic diet, because on keto, you have a metabolic advantage where you are putting your body in a fat-burning state, and you are even putting your body in a state where it will burn more calories than it needs, almost an inefficient state, which sounds bad, but it's not, especially when it comes to weight loss. But this is what happens on a ketogenic diet, and this is the reason why calories aren't as important. Now, for a certain percentage of people out there, overeating calories may be a problem, but I actually think that this is really doubtful and kind of one of the last resorts for us to look at. And the reason why I think that it's doubtful is because it's really hard to overeat keto foods unless you're dousing everything in fat. So if you're somebody who's putting a ton of oil on everything, it's pretty easy to go overboard in that way. But if you're eating like a whole food ketogenic diet, because of the satiety or fullness that we experience as like a physiological benefit of being in ketosis, it's very hard for people to overeat. And I don't think that there's a lot of people out there that are stuck at a weight loss plateau because they're overeating calories. But it's definitely something that you can check into. So again, just like we were talking about tracking carbohydrates at the beginning of this episode, tracking your calories can be important. So if you're stuck at a weight loss plateau and you looked at numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 that I mentioned during this video, then it's time for you to look at calories. And what you can do is just, again, sit down, track your food as for the next 2-3 days, track your food as closely as you can to how you have been eating. It's really important that you don't change it, so you skew your numbers, and figure out where your calories are. Yeah, if you're consuming 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 calories from a ketogenic diet, calories may be the thing that are getting in your way. But if you're consuming like under 3,000, for most people, obviously it depends on who you are, but for the vast majority of people, if you're like under 3,000 calories, it's very unlikely that you need to be lowering your calories more. And in some cases, it may be that you need to go the other way. So I think it's really important that we kind of look at calories as a last ditch effort. I think that traditionally we're always taught, hey, I want to lose weight, I should restrict my calories. So that's what people want to do when they hit that weight loss plateau on keto. But I think that for most people, 90% of people that are stuck at weight loss plateaus, it's one of the first 4 things that I mentioned in this video that are getting in your way. And if you take a look at those and you make a change one by one, that'll be what will allow you to see progress. So I also built, about a year ago, I built a do-it-yourself keto plateau buster. And what this program is it's essentially something that walks you through, very similar to what this video is, step-by-step of how to evaluate your diet and how to make changes one by one, so you can figure out what's kind of getting in your way and preventing you from seeing results, and then jumpstart your results again. So that is found on my website. I'm going to link to that below in the description of this video so you can check it out. I think it's a really good resource. I've gotten a lot of good feedback from people who have used it. It's not your traditional coaching program where it's going to kind of give you everything that you need and give you meal plans and things like that. It's going to be more of a teaching you how to do it, because I think it's very important that we learn to eat intuitively and we learn more about our bodies and how we are reacting to the foods that we are eating. So that's it for this video, guys. If you have any questions, please comment them below. If you have any friends or family that you think could benefit from hearing this message, please share it with them. And if you have any input on what some of the next topics I should record for these YouTube videos are, please comment them below as well. Thanks, guys.